Hi, welcome to another edition of We Review Races with Billy and Sam. This is the Dubai edition. We are in an Airbnb, and so this is an Arabic clock in the background so that everybody knows.
6, 7. That's your Arabic lesson for the day.
Yeah, so I think you just made us Ernie and Bert, man. I'm not really sure which is which. But, so let's dig right into this race, man. This is a cool race. We were here extra early, so we have the full normal process.
Tell us about check-in.
So check-in was extremely impressive.
Probably, I mean, other than the check-ins where you do it in like a civic center or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, even those didn't have the chairs. This one had chairs that you sat down.
Yeah.
It's like you were going into a bank or something, and it was a temporary shelter.
Yeah, check our Instagram for pictures of this because I'd call it a wedding tent, except it was air conditioned and massive.
With chandeliers coming down.
Yeah. So, you had by the time we got there, it was Friday afternoon. Mm-hmm. There was no line, there was no wait. We each had, so there was a check-in person and a helper at each little table. You sat in white, slip-covered wedding style chairs. They brought everything to you. It was very impressive. In this, once again, air-conditioned tent. So I just got to say that Ironman America needs to step up its game. This is my now level of expectation because I know it can be done.
The numbers were pre-assigned, which meant that you were able to have your name on the bib, but it also meant that on the outside of this tent, they had these panels, mm-hmm. I guess, with everybody's name and number and tri-club affiliation and all of that on there. Kind of lining the tent so you could take a picture of your name. It was really well done.
It was really cool. And the same tent that we checked in was actually where you picked up your post-finish swag, and you were allowed to hang out in the tent as long as you went. So it was great for bringing down temperature, sitting, eating, visiting. So
yeah, it was.
They got some great use out of that.
Transition. So we registered for this race really late, and so we got really late numbers. In fact, of those numbers on those panels, there were only 2 people after us.
Yeah.
So we were like 2179 and 2180. There was a 2181 and a 2182, and that was it. You want a low number, but
yes.
Since it's pre-assigned, I don't know how you get a low number. Because transition, we were in the worst possible corner.
Yes,
which made absolutely no difference to us because we were excited to be there.
Yeah, there was some all-world athlete AWA numbers that I saw when I was biking. Okay. So obviously they had some AWA stuff.
We just didn't register.
We didn't get it. They also had this was a pros race.
Yes.
And so the pros had, I don't know, 10 feet, like their bicycle and 10 feet on either side.
It was very similar to the Olympic setup. If you watch the Olympics, to where it had the Olympic triathlon, how they had the bike set up with the box and the bike kind of separate from everything. Uh-huh. That's how the pros were set up. Super
nice. And then they had this VIP, so the same thing as the pros, but this VIP set up on a different wall. So this was the exterior walls had this. This transition is fully, we call it grass matted. It was a grass mat. Egypt, the grass mats kept
popping up.
Yeah. These jokers were staked down. I would have been amazed had we not seen it at Challenge Daytona. So I don't want to take away from this because this race is bigger than Challenge Daytona. But it's incredible. It's great. We've seen it in Egypt. We've seen it here. We've seen it in Daytona. I'm expecting that's where we're headed, and it would be fantastic.
It's really sandy. it's in the
Yeah,
desert,
you're on a beach.
and it's at the beach. So you have the desert, the beach. There's just nothing but sand there. I mean, some places would have like sod and stuff, and so maybe you would have that, but it made a huge difference to be able to have that and to be able to walk across it with your bike without getting sand all over everything.
You didn't get sand on your stuff, like, so I guess we're skipping on to the swim, but
No, because we've got to talk about bags.
fair enough. So coming in from the beach, you of course have your normal shower. And my feet were clean walking out of that shower, and then you went to get your bags, you went to the change tent, you went to get your bike. My feet were clean the entire time, so that was super nice. That was amazing.
So this is a bagged transition, meaning that you have a bike bag and a run bag, and then these bags are hanging on hooks on these like racks or whatever. These particular racks had 2 hooks per
They
little
had
area,
an upper hook and a lower hook. Very new.
And that was, they also had an upper section and a lower section. We're just talking about the hooks themselves. There was an upper hook and a lower hook. I mean, it allowed for them to have a lot more bags on that one thing, which kind of made it crowded, but we didn't have any issues.
Yeah, since our numbers were together, our bags were together, so when my bag was disheveled, I knew who did it.
He beat me to each thing, the bike and the run. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's just making stuff up now.
That's the upside of I guess registering together. Maybe you can't really control numbers. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what the process is.
Maybe dynamic numbering might be better for that particular instance. But
I mean, for the athlete.
Transition had its own tent, the men's and women's changing area.
Yeah, it just had like a curtain dividing it, and it was a huge tent, but there were not very many chairs in there. It was carpeted, but again, not many chairs, which is what we saw in Oman, which kind of didn't really make any sense. I mean, Egypt had a million chairs out there.
They were outside, but those chairs were nice.
Yeah, they were nice.
But yeah,
I got a chair, so it wasn't the end of the world. A lot of people just changed right there at the rack, which got the racks kind of.
Yeah, and there were some chairs, we had an outside rack, because there were chairs that were available to us. The interior racks did not have any. Just a little bit.
So be aware of that. And again, it's the luck of the draw on where your bag is in the rack position. I mean, you can't really control that, so that's just one of those things.
No.
All right, so the bikes were...
back to check-in on your bike and your...
Yeah, the bikes were... I mean, we're going to call it 8 per rack. These were huge racks, and so there might have been 16.
Yeah, I think we counted 14 or 15. Yeah, it was a bunch, but they were larger than normal racks for certain.
And it didn't matter. I mean, all you did was take your bike off the rack. I mean, because you weren't changing there and you weren't setting up anything there. I mean, it made it a little more difficult in the morning when you're pumping tires or putting fluids and stuff on your bike, but it was fine the way that it was set up. And it looked like they had space for more bikes. I mean, I don't know. The racks were... like they had used almost all of the positions on the racks, but it looked like in transition they could probably get another couple hundred bikes in there if they wanted to.
Yeah, you looked close to maxing that place out.
I mean, this is a big race, big.
Yeah.
I mean, 20. They said close to 2,500, including relay people.
Yeah.
And they use that. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
And so it sells out quick. So if you're watching this, then either you've signed up or you need to.
You're thinking about it. Yeah.
You need to look at this.
It wasn't instant because we watched it right when it opened.
They said it lasted just a few hours after it opened to the public.
Oh, okay. So we had an early code or whatever.
Yeah, you get the Tri-Club code or whatever that gets you in.
So it did sell out relatively quick, but I felt like we had a few days. But that might be the Tri-Club difference.
The Tri-Club gets so make sure you put your Tri-Club information into Ironman or whatever, so that you get the Tri-Club benefit, because that's a full week that you get to sign up for races before the public gets to sign up.
Really? Back to check in the back. The swag that we got.
Oh yeah. So we got a. What else did we get besides the backpack?
I saved some, whatever this stuff is. We got a goo that was like blackberry or something. I don't know, I threw mine away.
This is a really cool backpack.
Super
and it's,
cool
I mean,
backpack.
if you can look at the handle, it's a. I mean,
Very
this
nice.
is it's got the embroidered UAE flag on
Which
there.
is really cool.
It's. I mean, this. This is a really. I mean, I put it on Instagram. I think. I mean, next to the World Championship bag that we got in South Africa, this is probably the best one we've ever
I
gotten.
put this on that same tier.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean that's they spent some money on the bag, and it's a really nice bag.
Yeah, so this race, I feel like it was $500 for us. We were in whatever the final tier was. So this, I'm going to call it the most expensive normal season race.
Okay. I don't even remember.
400 currently is the deal-ish. It seems like it's headed towards 425, 450. But so this race is more expensive than the standard U.S. Ironman prices anyway. The bag is sweet. We're going to go over everything. They spent the money. So yes, paying that extra money is absolutely worth it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
They didn't just pocket that. They made the athlete experience.
Yeah, so you're saying stuff like air-conditioned check-in tents. I mean,
grass. I mean, that could not have been cheap.
It's got to be more. It's got to be 2 or 3 acres of grass that they got out there. So super cool. So you want to tell us about the race day stuff and swim?
Okay, so for race day, transition is only open for an hour prior to. I mean, it's open from 5:30 to 6:30. The pros start swimming at 7. Age groupers start swimming at 7:15. We got there early. So we were kind of worried about parking. There are some larger parking lots a little bit further away. We ended up getting there at, 5:15 or so?
Yeah.
And we got parking within 300 meters of transition.
Yes.
On the street. So that worked out great for us.
Yeah, to give you some sort of idea. When you're checking in, there's a parking lot directly in front of this park. On race day, that is closed. So you cannot park there on race day. They will tow, the police have it shut down. So just know that. But there was no issue with parking for us getting there at 5:15.
There were at least 500, maybe even 1,000 people waiting to get into transition, and they opened it at 5:30.
Yes.
They were not open.
Did not open it 1 second early. They got them all in pretty quick.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like anybody was rushed. I mean, there was plenty of time. I mean, that hour, all you're doing is doing air and
because you've already got your bags.
You had to drop off your bags the day before. When you dropped off,
they were making sure that we had wristbands.
Yeah.
But yeah, they went quick.
All right, so tell us about the swim.
So the swim, this is a 1-loop swim. It's an out, across, and back. For our thing, we had 6 yellow buoys. This is a clockwise swim. You hit the green. You hit there. I think I don't remember what it was in the middle.
There was nothing in the middle.
Hit another green, and then came back. 6 oranges on the way back. Those buoys were big, by the way.
They were pretty far apart too, though.
Yeah.
On the way back, you got into the sun, so you had to watch. You had to watch that.
Yeah. So Oman, the Gulf, we swim. Right, Oman is next door to UAE, and so I was kind of expecting similar water. The Oman water reminded me a lot of the Atlantic. You couldn't really see, just regular ocean style water. This was, I'm gonna call it Caribbean water, not the clearest we've ever swam in,
but it was beautiful.
But you could see the sand up underneath. I don't know, 200 yards.
I mean, this is the Persian Gulf. And it's attached to the Gulf of Oman. I mean, it's Persian Gulf of Oman,
Indian Ocean.
and this water was beautiful compared to the Gulf of Oman.
Super pretty, white, sandy beaches. The taper for the beach went out a long way.
No big waves at the shore. I mean, more like lake waves is what I would call it.
I'd call this a lake style swim with salt water.
When you got out, it was a little more choppy as you got out, but
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it does not feel like an ocean swim at all.
No. So
other than saltwater.
You have 2,500 people. They did not have the times, the swim time breakout.
I mean, we got there late, so it's possible they had those up earlier, but
I never saw
we
it.
never saw them. And seemed like you would have seen people with the signs standing by the side. Yeah, it was just a free for all. It was just you were supposed to self seed, and I
I don't know even how to describe this. This could use a little work. It came in and took a right, and so they had five people going every 5 seconds.
Right? So 60 people a minute.
So they were getting through them, but you have 2,500 people and it's 60 a minute at best. So just keep that in mind as to where to put yourself. There was the first 200 yards or so. I didn't have anybody swim over me, so we seated ourselves in a fairly reasonable spot. You had plenty of room. You always have bunching at corners. That's just going to happen.
I swam way out to the side and didn't have any issues. I had a few issues on the way back because everybody kind of funnels towards when you can finally see the swim arch or whatever. Everybody kind of aims for that, and so you kind of end up swimming together. But I mean, it's so clear that you can see the person, to your left and to your right, and so if you're experienced at all in swimming, you can avoid running over.
Yeah, this was a very good swim. I had plenty of sight lines to be able to see everybody. Once again, you're swimming into the sun on the way back, so the later it gets, the worse that was going to get. I don't know.
Yeah, tinted goggles, so you definitely want that. And I mean, when you get out of the swim on the race briefing, they said that you're required to go up under the shower. I mean, there's no other way to get out except to go up under the shower. So anyway, you come out, you run up a ramp, and it's not too far to get to transit.
All right, so you want to tell us about the bike?
Okay, the bike. So you come in a transition, you get your bike bag, you can go in this little tent. I went in the tent and sat in a chair and put all my stuff together, hopped out on the bike. It was a fair amount of ways. I mean, we were in the back of transition anyway, so it took us a long time to get out through the bike arch. But even once you get out through the bike arch, it's a pretty good ways before you can mount your bike.
That made no sense.
And the only problem I have with that whole exit chute and entrance chute, and maybe you couldn't have fixed it, but that curve was covered in sand.
Yes.
And I didn't see anybody wipe out. But it looked like that was going to wipe out a spot.
You could not go fast. You're coming around a curve, and
you're not going fast. I mean, you just started on the bottom.
It's not thick sand. Like, it seems like you could have somebody sweep that or blow that or something. So it's just a thin layer of sand, which is kind of like a thin layer of oil. Not great. But yes, please note that on your way out. But yeah, you've got easily 150-yard run. From the time you exit the chute to the time you're allowed to the mountain line.
Yeah, it's a good little ways.
Your legs are nice and warm. So
the bike itself, I mean, 100% is out and back. I mean, it's 28 miles out, 28 miles back. I mean, there's some turns in there, but it's basically you exit the city, hop on this interstate is what I would compare to. I mean, big 6-8 lane road, whatever, big road. There are some rolling hills. I would never say that. I mean, there was no difficult. I never came out of my big chain ring.
As I recall, the profile shows kind of like
where you step up.
It's a slow, gradual up, and then on the way back, a gradual down. I don't know that I really felt that.
I felt it because so the wind was in your face on the way out,
yes.
And it was not bad. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be totally dependent on the weather.
Yeah, that's going to be
but on the way back, even when the wind was in your face, because you made some turns, and so sometimes the wind was in your face. The wind was in your face, and I was looking at my watch, and I was still doing significantly faster than I was on the way out, so it had to be going downhill. But it's not so much that you're going to notice it. No. I mean, you'll notice that you're significantly faster on the way back than you were on the way out. Yes. At least for us, it was like that. But it wasn't. It wasn't some like you were going up a mountain, then you got to the top, and then you're coming down the mountain. You didn't feel that at all.
Yeah, this is so. I think I want to call it a closed road.
It was closed road.
It was. There were tons of cones, and so you had, if there were 3 lanes available, then the bikers got 2 of them. So we would have way more room than we could ever possibly use. If there's only 2, and you got down, as you got further away from the city, you got down to a 4-lane divided highway, and so you had 1 lane, and it did not feel cramped. The lanes were plenty wide, very, very good roads.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna nitpick because these, excuse me, these were excellent roads. Some of the best roads we've ever been on.
Yes.
There were a fair number of rumble strips.
Yeah.
And they were pretty thick. So you kind of had to stand up to keep from, banging your bottom.
Yeah, I started getting over to the yellow line on the side of the road. The rumble strips stopped before that line, stopped on that line. So if you were riding that line through the rumble strips, it was fine.
Nobody was complaining that they wanted to pass you and you were all the way to the left.
By the time that I had figured that out, we were pretty deep into the race.
Okay. There were some traffic circles that you went around and some other turns, but I mean, for the most part, you started at the beach, you went kind of through the city. I mean, basically you went out of the city into the desert, turned around, came back. I mean, in the U-turn where you turned around, that needs work.
We need to talk about that. There were so many great roundabouts.
There were a ton of traffic circles. Why could you have not? I mean, they did it so you had exactly 56 miles.
Yes.
But you turned onto this dirt area, sandy area, and they put some mats down.
Yeah, like a cut through, where in the States, it's where we have the police are able to turn around on the road. It's just a gravel. So they put mats on it and they did something.
Yeah.
But yeah, just some extra, a little bit of thought put into that. Maybe I'd have probably taken an extra mile or 2 if you could have gotten me to, if there was a close roundabout or close.
It was not unsafe. I didn't see anybody wreck. It just wasn't the best.
You had to slow down a lot.
Yeah. You almost had to stop.
You had all of these great. And so to be fair, every time we would get to a traffic circle, this is nope. Oh yeah, nope.
Just look at you watch. You move out and back 28 miles.
I mean, I'm always hoping.
Okay.
I'm always hoping.
Maybe this was short. Maybe they didn't measure this course.
It's gonna be my day.
Coming back in off of the bike, you dismounted in the exact same spot, and so you had the exact same forever to get into transition, and then racked your bike, went in, changed. So they specifically said that your helmet had to be in the run bag when you left, so you could not leave your helmet at your bike. Which, I mean, that's fair. You don't want a bunch of helmets out there that get knocked over or whatever.
It is windy there. I mean, you're at the beach, so there's a constant wind. So I could certainly see leaving stuff on the bike, getting knocked over, and just being a huge pain in the butt. So that didn't bother me much.
So you got all your run gear on. You head out on the run. Tell us about the run.
So the run was interesting. So they have, I'm going to call it a rubber track.
It's very spongy. I mean, not in a bad way, just very cushiony. We were walking on it the day before, and we're like, we're running on this. This is awesome.
Imagine you have a pair of Hokas, new Hokas, and they're nice and cushiony, and then you put another pair of Hokas on underneath that. Is kind of what it felt like. It was really nice. I was super excited about it. So we're talking to some people that morning, and they said, the fast people feels like it slows them down. And so it may. I cannot speak to speed on that thing. It didn't bother us at all, but we were doing
we were doing a run walk. Yeah, we were doing a run walk cadence, and it felt really good to us. This particular spongy stuff was not. the whole way.
Yeah, so
there were just sections.
It's a mix. So there's a bike trail or a bike path that's got to be 12 feet wide, 4 meters.
Sure.
And then there's another run walk path that's another, call it 4 meters, 12 feet wide, that are separate and distinct from each other. And so we kind of intertwined between the two as we were going around. So it was a bit of a mix and kind of messy. This is a 1.5 loop run. So you went all the way out, you came back past the finisher's chute, and then you had the turnaround, and then you did half of that and came back. They were very clear. So we got wristbands.
Yeah, and they're super nice wristbands. I mean, a lot of times we've gotten the different things. I mean,
I'm going to call these like the Live Strong style. Usually we get like, I want to call them scrunchies.
Yeah.
Just, like a thin piece of t-shirt cut up. These are really nice bands. So yeah, I grabbed 2 of those. Or I asked the volunteer to hand me 2, and they had no issue. And I saw other people
had a huge box.
Yeah, they were giving them out.
So that told you where you were when you did the first big loop. You got a white one. Then when you came back and did the second little loop, you got a green one. And when you had a white and a green on, and you got to the finish chute, then you went onto the finish line, and you knew you were in the right place.
We were running with a guy from the Netherlands, and so I saw we go to the turnaround. You had a chance to grab one before the turnaround, and I saw he didn't. I was like, "Hey man, grab you a white one on the way back." And so he was like, "Does it matter?" And I don't know. So
it
did not matter was the answer to that question. But
I mean, it's basically to help you remember where
it's
you
definitely
were.
for you. So I would feel nothing to not grab it. If you
Other than their cool wristbands.
Yes.
Say Ironman the bottom.
Shoot, yeah, man.
Oh, we forgot to talk about on the bike.
Ho, ho, ho.
On the bike, they were giving out. Okay. Yeah, let's go back. Okay. We're going to step back to the bike. The very first, they had 4 aid stations. The first one was at 13.1 miles or something. The second one was at 31 point something. So it was 18 miles in between.
It was
the
in
two.
the normal spot,
And then the third one wasn't too far out of that, and the fourth one wasn't too far past that. I mean, it was so.
Yeah, I feel like there was 1 on the way out and 3 on the way back.
I think there were.
The third one, or the second one was fairly short after you had made the turnaround. But yeah.
The first aid station had water. The next 3 aid stations had only ISO. They had no water at all. And I think they probably started out with water and just ran out. I don't know. But anyway, they were giving out the ISO and the water were in water bottles. So no reason to purchase your water bottle at the thing. I don't even know if they were selling them.
These are better than the Egypt bottles.
Yeah, these are nice.
Really nice bottles. How nice would you say they are?
They're very nice. Sam came up with a bunch of them.
I'm showing a representative sample. I had 7.
I thought you said you had 8.
I kept my original bottle for the 8th bottle.
Okay.
So I literally had bottles in every pocket. I had shoved 2 down in my thing. So Billy is passing me at the last minute.
It took me like 45 miles to catch him. But at the 45th mile, I'm looking. The reason I'm able to catch him is because he's like this great big sail. He has all these water bottles.
So he goes, "Hey man, it took me it took me until you got your 5th water bottle to be able to catch you." It's like, man, you're missing several. I had a protective shield of water bottles, so if I fell off the bike, I was squared away. But yeah, no man, great water bottles, and we bring some home.
So I don't know what happened with the water and why they didn't have it, but that was kind of disappointing.
The ISO did not bother me much. It was fairly watered down.
It was very watered down, and it was fine. But if you're wanting water to pour on you or whatever, after the first one, there was nothing.
Yeah. So grab 2 bottles of water on that first one.
So as we're on the run, they actually run out of the water bottles on the run
Dear
too.
Lord. So they were handing out small, maybe what? Like
They weren't the tiniest.
300
Yeah, they weren't the tiniest
mLs.
water bottles. Maybe 250 liters, 250
yeah.
milliliters.
Yeah, like half of one of these guys. So not tiny, but
it wasn't the super short ones. It was kind of medium size.
Yeah.
And that was awesome for the first 3/4 of the run, or 3/4 of the first lap.
Really half.
Yeah, first half of the run.
They ran out, so we finished with what, like 6:15. Our time was 6 hours and 15 minutes today, or so. Hey, please don't quote me on exactly down to the second. But right around there, and they had run out as we're coming back on our first long loop. So you need to know that they had plenty of ice. They
did restock the ice. At one point, they were kind of out of just about everything. But then they came out and restocked the ice, and so that really helped because it was hot.
It felt less hot than Oman, but
It was definitely less hot than Oman because it was a little bit overcast.
So it was overcast on the way out. I feel like the sun came out on our way back on the bike.
Yeah, it did. So about half the bike was overcast, and then on the run it started off sunny, and then it got a little bit overcast. I mean, it was kind of in and out, and there was a nice sea breeze for the run too. So I would not have called it. This wasn't overly hot. But, that's going to be when you do your race. It's totally dependent on the weather.
Could be anything. Yeah. So take our weather with a grain of salt. So I'm going to assume I'm sitting in the tent changing from the bike, and the guy next to me is like, dude, sometimes it can be unorganized, I think was his word, or disorganized. So if you're used to running with water, bring your own. So I don't think this is an abnormal thing.
Okay.
So they were acting, the people that I talked to, kind of all gave that same indication that this.
I mean, they had ISO and they had Pepsi and Red Bull and all that other stuff.
They had 3-gallon jugs of Red Bull. So if you really like Red Bull, I have your race. Yeah. The Pepsi was hilarious. They've got all these bottles and cans of Pepsi. They've got cups ready for you to go, and they're all screaming Coca-Cola, 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 Coca-Cola. So I thought that was funny.
Because Sam doesn't like Pepsi.
Loves
Coke, but not Pepsi. So
it's fine.
Coming in on the finish line shoot, so you come around and you make a big U-turn to do the finish line?
We should bring up the U-turn for the thing. This is not a closed course, is what I'm going to call that run.
The run was not a closed course.
Most
people were respectful.
They were very respectful, especially you went out into this, I want to call it like a very nice Atlantic City. Kind of like the idea of what Atlantic City wanted to be. Kind of had like inflatables and games and these things to do, but nicer than our experience with Atlantic City. So you were going through that, and people were waiting until there was an opportunity to cross. They were not crossing it in front of us. As you got closer and closer to the finish line and to go past the finish line, coming around the cone,
the crowd just kind of kept
tighter
and tighter.
They were just so excited to crush you. By the time that we got to our turnaround cone, there were people in the way.
Yeah, they were blocking.
Once again, so I screamed at them. We weren't setting a world. Well, I mean, we're setting a world record, but we weren't setting a world record on time. Clearly it wasn't really going to make a difference. But I felt like they needed to be yelled at to back up for the next people.
I don't think you were disrespectful yelling at him. You just kind of yelled like, "Hey, there's other." I mean, it was. I don't even remember what you said. It was just kind of something to let people know. Hey, there's still runners out on the course, and you're in the way.
Yeah. So very few. There were police or soldiers or both or whatever. I can't tell whether those were police outfits or soldier outfits. Could go either way. At the intersections, at anywhere a car could approach. There was plenty of safety from that, but people, they had no control of the people.
The crowd on the boardwalk.
Having some volunteers there would have made that a lot better. Hey, you guys need to back up. You guys
There
need
were volunteers there.
they were probably the ones crowding in.
Yeah. All right, so you that's the turnaround.
Yeah,
The
so
second
now the
time you
finish
come
line.
through, you go through the finish line. You come. It just splits. It's just a Y. One goes to the turnaround and one goes to the finish line. You go up and then you make a U-turn to come down the finish line. It looked like a standard Ironman red carpet finish line. I don't remember. I'm assuming there were people lining it. Were there people lining the sides? It wasn't.
Yes, there were people lining the sides. Only one side was available for people to line. The left side was kind of towards
where the medical was.
Yeah, the no-go zone stuff. So it was blocked off from people having access. That's why you remember, like, did I see people? I feel like I did, but so that's yes. Your people can see you. This is the bike. Nah, you're not back. I'd call it a fan-friendly race for the run.
Not for the bike. I mean,
Yeah.
you leave town
and come back.
Yeah.
Which is standard.
Yeah, just about every Ironman race is like that.
So that's normal.
The swim, it was spectator friendly for the swim because you could just stand on one spot on the swim and watch everybody go out.
Watch your person.
After you cross the finish line, they put a sweet medal around your neck, which this thing is heavy. I'm kind of concerned.
We actually got rapper names when they put this joker on.
The weight of this thing is going to make my bag at the airport go overweight.
The medal is dope. That is the largest medal we have received thus far.
They did have water at the finish line. It was warm water, which I think it got cooler later. I think they came and put some ice in there because when I came back and got the Pepsi, it was cold. But you finished that, you headed in, and you got a finisher jacket. That jacket vest?
They call it a jacket. It is definitely a vest because I saw some red ones. I talked to a dude while we were checking in, and he said that it's been a jacket for the past 3 years, so he was expecting the last 3 years that he did it, they were all jackets. And it was what he called this. It does not have sleeves. And I'm watching out for Biff Tanner and Doc Emmett. So
it's puffy. That's the style. People are doing the puffy stuff again.
I like it very much. I was not dogging on it, but I was making a Back to the Future reference of it's a vest. It's definitely a vest, and it's definitely sweet. I am wearing the large, and it's actually a little tight. They have samples for you to try on, so you go back into the sweet air-conditioned bliss. It didn't really matter what it said on my bib. The bib
that's
says
what they
your
wanted
shirt
to hand you,
size.
but they let you trade it.
But yes, you could trade sizes. So try it on. They had nice, disgusting models that were all like everybody had tried on. But that way, your jacket's nice and clean. But yes, you were allowed to check it out. So absolutely, pro tip, check that out.
You left there and you went and got a bag of food, and it was a fairly big bag. I put some pictures on Instagram. A sandwich, a wrap, a little piece of cake, drink.
Was it yellow cake?
Yeah, it was like sponge, some kind of sponge. We had it. It was the pound
yellow cake in the Middle East, man. I'm just. Sorry, we got stories.
You have to watch. And so to wrap up, is there anything else you need to talk about the race?
I feel like we should go rank this. I feel like we should rate this race, but things that the race could do better before we rate it might be. I feel like we covered a lot of it.
Okay. Things the race can do better.
Things. So. Weather's never in anybody's control. And it was not bad today. But the support, right? Running out of water in a desert is number one. Yeah. That's just not cool. So that was very upsetting.
Mind you, this is a really, really nice race. The swag is top notch. Even the porta potties, they had these like tractor trailer porta potties that had sinks and like 12 stalls in them with flushing toilets. Oh, it was.
Dude.
I mean, it's not like they were trying to scrim. I think they just underestimated or something. I mean, I don't know how you underestimate that.
Our race in the desert, shocking that you need more water.
Yeah.
So cannot run it. I don't know how to act, right. That's perfectly within everybody's control. Because Panama is what it made me think of, where they ran out of ice and then they fixed it. This place ran out of water and couldn't fix it, or did not fix it in the time that we were on the course. So it may have been fixed later. I don't want to assume that it didn't. I'm sure the race director's all over it. But like I said, we got word of this early, so that this is not an uncommon problem. It's disappointing. Other issues?
I'm trying to think of stuff that I would change for them. I mean, the bike course I wouldn't change. I mean, even though I don't like the rumble strips, I think that was a fine bike. I mean, the roads were wonderful.
I'm mixed. I'm not going to call it super scenic.
No,
I feel like to be scenic, you get hills, right? So if you're reasonably flat, it's just, sorry, dude, you're not going to have mountains. That's, you can have scenic and hills, or flat and fast, and you need to be looking forward to it.
I mean, I guess you could, so what Dubai's known for is all of their big buildings and architecture. So you theoretically could have done like a tour of Dubai on the bike. Do you know how many Dubai citizens would be so upset that we closed down their downtown to do that? So
no,
I mean that's
no. I also would not change the bike.
The swim was fine. I don't know that I would change that either, because it was. Yeah, it's a beautiful water, and even the run. I mean, other than the water, I liked the run course.
I liked the run course. That run course could have used about 8,000 more cones. There were a lot of times, and maybe that's a participant problem, but the lack of it ran around things a fair amount, kind of serpentine.
They had tape. You were supposed to go outside the tape,
and I did
one way and inside the tape, but not everybody did that.
It was.
People were cutting those corners for sure.
Yeah, and they're cutting, right? So you're coming along a wall, and it's a 90-degree wall, and then somebody pops out, and they're running this way. It's just asinine, and
that was an athlete.
I mean, that's an athlete problem. But if you had a volunteer there,
they did have people that were kind of telling people to go the other way. People were just ignoring it.
So I was super not impressed with the run course. I'm gonna call it signage, conage, whatever you want to say. There should have been better divides where you're serpentining through stuff. At one point, I accidentally, there were people coming my way, so I got over, and then I couldn't get back because more people were coming. So I don't know. That was frustrating. Anything else that you off the top of your head?
I mean, I can't think of anything really. I mean, the water's a big deal, but it's a really nice race.
So now we need to go over scores. You got a score?
Yeah, I mean, so for our ratings, basically, the higher the rated the race, the more that you would do it again.
Yeah,
is that correct? I mean, this is really high for me, because I would definitely do this race again. I mean, just for the swag. I mean, the Persian Gulf swim was good. It was a relatively fast course for us. 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 6.5, maybe 6 3/4. So I'm picking on stuff. I feel like this race is like a Ferrari with a dent in it. I mean, I'm complaining about the dents and the things that can be fixed, but it's still a Ferrari, man. This is an awesome race. It definitely should be done. It should be on your bucket list. I would absolutely do this race again. I would come to Dubai specifically for this race again. It's phenomenal. The race director is doing a great job.
The fact that we're complaining about water,
Yeah,
and
the
nothing
things,
else.
the things that we have to complain about are not that big. Same thing. It's great. Swag's great. The people are phenomenal.
Yeah.
The other athletes were so friendly. You saw people, broken down. Every time I saw somebody broken down on the side of the road, there was either somebody helping them or the van had already gotten to them. I mean, I had tech support or bike support was there. Really a great race. Absolutely put this on your list. Do not miss it. It's not going anywhere. But yes, absolutely a worthy inclusion to the bucket list. I'd put this probably my top 3 races of all time.
Okay. It's a good one for sure.
Yeah, phenomenal. So stay tuned for race stories, or just stories. We have stories.
Just Dubai stories.
Dubai stories, things that we did in Dubai. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it.